Double or nothing?
Oh, no fucking way! Get the fuck out of my suite! Nah.
Focus is a 2015 crime comedy drama directed by Glenn Ficarra and John Requa, starring Will Smith and Margot Robbie. While critics had mixed opinions, it did pretty well at the box office, pulling in $158 million on a $50 million budget. Now there's talk of it possibly coming back, but the big question is, what could a sequel do differently? Or could we actually see a reboot with a fresh cast instead of a sequel? Here's everything we know so far about Focus 2 and more. First off, for those who might need a little reminder about Focus, let's rewind a bit to recap what this crime comedy is all about. In this stylish 2015 film, we follow seasoned conman Nicky Spurgeon, played by Will Smith, as he navigates the world of high-stakes cons and elaborate deceptions. The movie kicks off when Nicky meets Jess Barrett, an inexperienced grifter who tries to pull one over on him by setting up a fake jealous husband scenario. However, when the plan fails, Nicky steps in with some advice. Always stay focused, especially in unexpected situations. This advice, while simple, serves as a mantra throughout the movie. Impressed by her potential, Nicky follows Jess and convinces her to grab a drink. Over drinks, he tells her a dark family story about how his father once shot his grandfather during a standoff, a move Nicky calls the Toledo Panic Button. The tactic involves shooting your partner to show loyalty, a grim but clever metaphor for the world of deception and betrayal that Nicky operates in. Jess, intrigued by Nicky's skill and charm, follows him to New Orleans, where she persuades him to take her under his wing. In New Orleans, Jess meets Nicky's crew, including the amusing sidekicks Farhad and Horst. Nicky tests Jess's skills by having her pick a few pockets, and soon the two develop a romantic relationship. This complicates things for Nicky, whose father had taught him never to get emotionally involved with his partners. Things reach a boiling point at the Super Bowl, where Nicky takes part in a series of extravagant bets with gambler named Lee Yuan-si. Nicky loses all the money the crew had earned, but he devises a plan to win it back in true conman fashion. He makes a final bet, asking Tsi to pick any player on or off the field, and claims Jess can guess the number. At first, Jess is distraught and unsure, but then she notices Farhad wearing a jersey with the number 55 and realizes it's part of an elaborate con. Nicky and Jess manage to trick Tsi into picking the number 55, which had been subtly programmed into his mind through subliminal cues throughout the day. This win not only leaves Tsi impressed, but also proves Nicky's mastery of manipulation and deception. After the con, Nicky leaves Jess behind with her cut of the money and instructs her driver to take her to the airport. Jessica is heartbroken, and as she leaves, Nicky simply moves on to his next job. Fast forward 3 years, and we find Nicky in Buenos Aires, working for a billionaire motorsport team owner, Rafael Garriga. Nicky's job is to sell a fake fuel formula to Garriga's rival, McEwen, to sabotage their car in the championship race. At a pre-race party, Nicky unexpectedly runs into Jess again. This time, she's involved with Garriga, and their reunion throws Nicky off balance. Despite trying to keep things professional, Nicky pursues Jess, and they rekindle their relationship. However, things quickly spiral out of control. Garriga's head of security, Owens, becomes suspicious of Jess and Nicky's relationship. In a shocking twist, Nicky double-crosses both Garriga and McEwen by selling the real formula to multiple teams, earning millions in the process. Before Nicky and Jess can flee, they are caught by Garriga's men. Nicky is beaten and Jess is bound and gagged. Desperate to save her, Nicky spins a story that Jess was part of his con all along. But in another twist, Jess reveals she was only trying to seduce Garriga to steal his valuable watch, and Nicky's story doesn't add up. Just when things seem hopeless, Owens shoots Nicky in the chest. But in yet another twist, Owens reveals he is actually Nicky's father, Bucky, and that the shot was part of the Toledo Panic Button tactic. Bucky patches Nicky up and helps them escape. Before leaving, Bucky takes all the money as a reminder of the dangers of losing focus in their world of cons and deception. As Bucky drives off, Jess manages to steal Garriga's $200,000 watch, and the movie ends with Nicky and Jessica smiling and walking towards the hospital together. So, what could a potential Focus sequel do differently? Or could we actually see a reboot with a fresh cast instead of a sequel? Let's break it down. First, if there's going to be a Focus 2, one thing it could really improve on is exploring the emotional depth of its characters. In the first movie, while we got a glimpse of Nicky's troubled past and his complicated relationship with Jess, a sequel could dig deeper into the consequences of living a life of constant lies and manipulation. Nicky's never get emotionally involved rule was clearly shaken in the first film, but a sequel could explore what happens when he fully breaks that rule. How does his relationship with Jess evolve now that they've been through betrayal and reconnection? What's the cost of staying in the con game? We could see Nicky dealing with the long-term effects of his choices, maybe struggling with trust issues, or even getting tangled in a much bigger, riskier con that tests not just his skills, but his loyalty to Jess and his team. On the flip side, we could explore more of Jess's character. In Focus, Jess evolved from a rookie grifter to a skilled con artist, but a sequel could give her even more agency. How has she grown in the time since they last teamed up? Perhaps she's become a master con artist in her own right, maybe even pulling off schemes that rival Nicky's. Seeing Jess step into a more central, dominant role could add a fresh dynamic to the story, especially if the sequel explores the tension between them as rival con artists rather than just partners. There's also room to bring back supporting characters like Farhad, adding more comic relief and depth to the crew dynamic. Another route Focus 2 could take is switching up the setting and con. While the first film focused on elaborate big-money cons like Super Bowl betting and sabotaging a Formula One team, a sequel could scale up or down. Maybe it goes global, involving international criminals or heists that put Nicky and Jess on the radar of serious law enforcement agencies, leading to a game of cat and mouse with the authorities. Or, conversely, it could zoom in on a more intimate, character-driven con, one that puts Nicky and Jess's relationship under the microscope, where they need to con their way out of a personal, high-stakes situation. Whether it's a sequel or a reboot, the world of Focus is ripe for further exploration. The high-stakes world of con artistry, with its constant twists, double crosses, and moral gray areas, provide endless possibilities for creative storytelling. The question is, will we see Nicky and Jess return for another thrilling round of cons, or will the game be passed on to new players? Either way, there's a lot of potential for Focus to continue conning its way into audiences' hearts. And that's that for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in our next video.